Hi everyone, this is Lida. I'm going to speak about The Course of Love by Alain de Botton today. This is the third book I've read by this great writer, novelist, philosopher. The first one I read was his Consolations of Philosophy, which I absolutely adored. And then about, I think it was last year, I read this book, Essays in Love, which was his first novel, and he published this when he was 23. And last week I read this one, The Course of Love, which he wrote when he was 47. Now, in The Course of Love, he's speaking about two people, Rabi and Kirsten. Kirsten is Scottish, and Rabi is Lebanese, a German, living and working as an architect in Scotland. And the story tells about how they get to know each other, they fall in love, and then they get married, they have two children, they get a mortgage to buy a house, and then the ups and downs in their relationships, how they fall out several times, they have arguments, and then they seek a counselor, and Rabi has a short affair, and so on and so forth. The style of the story is like this. He's telling the story of these two people, and then the story is interspersed in separate paragraphs in italics, where Alain de Botton, the philosopher, comes and tells us what is happening. And I love this book, and I wish I had read it much earlier when I first got married. I think this is a must read for anyone in a relationship, because he tells us through the story of these two people that some of the problems we face are problems of being human, and if we have the right skill and knowledge, we can avoid many of these problems that we face. Alain de Botton is generally against romanticism. He sees many of the problems that people have, couples face, come down to our culture. Okay, the stories that we grow up with, the movies we watch, Cinderella-like stories, happily ever after stories. He says it's nothing like that. You know, it's just the beginning of our journey, getting to know someone, falling in love. There is no such thing, he believes, as soulmates, okay? A person with whom you will have absolutely no problem. He's against many of these notions, like, even I feel that he's a little bit against divorce. You know, when you divorce someone, it means that you're saying that all the problem lies within the person. Okay, I have no problems myself. We have to learn with knowledge, with the help of a counselor, and this skill of being with someone and solving this problem. You know, it's a real true art. Staying in a relationship, avoiding perfectionism. In our culture, perfectionism, I think, extends to our relationship as well. You know, we expect a lot from our partners. If there is a fault, we think we've made a mistake in our choice. And I really found the book really enlightening. You know, it's a must-read for many people. I found it's a wee bit pessimistic at some places. You know, he is probably part of being a philosopher. I think it could have been a little bit more optimistic. Changing culture is possible in the long run. There could be happier relationships in the long run, I think, as well. There is a part at the end of the book, I think the paragraph before last, which I really truly love. I've marked this book, bookmarked it, highlighted, made notes, okay, you name it. Okay, there's this part which I really love. He said we need courage. The courage not to be vanquished by anxiety, not to hurt others out of frustration, not to grow too furious with the world for the perceived injuries it heedlessly inflicts, not to go crazy, and somehow to manage to persevere in a more or less adequate way through the difficulties of married life. This is true courage. This is a heroism in a class all its own. So there are lots of lessons to be learned. I really recommend everybody has a look at it. There are many points. He speaks about the root of overreacting in our relationship, how it goes down to our childhood, how to bring up children, the faults in the problems we sometimes face in our parenthood, and how again the root goes back to our own childhood. Lots of little things here to learn. And definitely I've made a note to go and buy the rest of his books. I'm going to read everything Alain de Botton has written. Bye for now. Thanks for listening.